You've got a fascinating backstory. The journey is incredible. I mean, like, you've got spent so many times in theater and in yoga, wellness, and lots more before you dive into the world of finance.
So finance is my third, I'd say, official career. Before finance, I spent 15 years as a theater artist. I also did a lot of teaching artistry. I did a lot of work the second half of my theatrical career in the social justice space. The skills that I developed as a facilitator in some very specific pedagogies. I did something called Theater of the Oppressed for many years and did a lot of social emotional facilitation, behavioral coaching. And having that background really has informed the way that I approach finance now. Yeah. So it's interesting how that all comes together.
I think I'd love to dive into that a little bit because I know you talk about this, right? Money doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's not separate from your life. And everyone's brain is wired differently. So you need to consider that when you talk to people as well. How has that played out in your experience so far?
I'm attracting a broader market. I'm able to reach people who maybe wouldn't normally feel like financial advice is for them because it's an intimidating space. Advisors can be intimidating. Well, again, we're not necessarily, industry isn't known for its warmth.
I think people need to be comfortable to have these conversations because it will really help them right at the end of the day. So there's no point shying away from it. And I love what you said there because I think a lot of folks do look at their advisor as a therapist almost in some ways.
My clients know that maybe we have a big progress review meeting on the books, but they're going through something incredibly emotional and their money is involved with it for whatever reason. They know that if they need to spend more time talking about the burden of the emotional stress and the impact that's having on their money, they know that they can because they also know that I'm worrying about all the other stuff for them. It's not like we're neglecting the tactical and the strategy side, but they seem to show up with a relief that I'm thinking about it for them, I'm taking care of it for them, but they also know that I'm going to deliver the information to them in a way that doesn't make them feel stupid and that, again, is accessible and empowering at the end of the day.
But what is it about money that makes people so anxious? Is it the perceived lack of it or the lack of awareness on how to manage it as you grow older or something else or a mix of all of that?
$1 million question.
We're really excited to have you on our show, Advisor Allie, today. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
And I know, Allie, you and I have interacted for a while now, and I know there's a lot that's been going on in the last few months for you and the firm. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I always like to kind of get started from the backstory, right? And you've got a fascinating backstory. The journey is incredible. I mean, like, you've got spent so many times in theater and in yoga, wellness, and lots more before you dived into the world of finance. But nothing like hearing it firsthand, right? So we'd love for you to share some of that with us.
Yeah, just kind of how I got into the industry.
Yeah. And the days before that, right? And the days, years before that.
Yeah. So finance is my third, I'd say, official career. Before finance, I spent 15 years as a theater artist. And so that looked like anything and everything. I wore all the hats and did a lot of really interesting stuff in that space, but primarily was an actor, a singer, and a director for theater. And then I also did a lot of teaching artistry. I've always been an educator at heart, but I struggle with traditional spaces and authority sometimes. So I found other ways to stay an educator in more non-traditional or outside provider settings. So I did a lot of work the second half of my theatrical career in the social justice space. I'm a really big believer that the arts and creativity can be an incredible vehicle to progress positive social change forward and just facilitate healing, both on an individual but also a collective level. And so that's really where my heart lies in the artistic space, but it was really hard to make money as a social justice theater artist.
As much as it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, rich in spirit, not in dollars. But incredible work. And honestly, it's amazing as I think back, the skills that I developed as a facilitator in some very specific pedagogies. I did something called Theater of the Oppressed for many years and did a lot of social emotional facilitation, behavioral coaching. That all was very present my entire theatrical career. And having that background really has informed the way that I approach finance now. Yeah. So it's interesting how that all comes together. And then the last 6 years of my time as an artist, I was also a yoga and meditation teacher. I taught group classes, private lessons. I ended up starting my first business called Widespread Wellness, where I was doing corporate health and wellness trainings. And again, the educator in me is just really passionate about providing accessible education so that people can be more empowered in their own decision-making and their own choices. And so again, even though the containers have looked different, my through line has remained the same. It's always been about accessibility, education, and empowerment. And so when finance came on my radar as a new opportunity, I ultimately recognized that my core could still fit inside of this container, even though it was a different shape. And as someone who's driven more by impact and mission than money, the opportunity to make impact as an advisor was also really appealing to me. So I saw a lot of alignment, even though the outside looks pretty different than what I was doing in the past.
No, I think, the more you talk about it and I hear it, I think that it does seem like a natural progression, right? Because you are someone who likes to engage an audience, inform them, educate them. And you've done that in various ways, even theater first, but then also, like you said, corporate wellness, yoga, etc. And the life of an advisor, it's just that it's finance here.
Yep.
In many ways is all of that as well, right? So yeah, it does really kind of, the dots really connect.
Yeah. And I see a real need to be more emotionally intelligent in the financial advisory world, to bring more social emotional intelligence into not just the client interactions, but also, our internal teams and our staff interactions, our other advisors. I spent 10 years in the trauma-informed care space. So just making that framework more visible, more known, so that, again, more people, more advisors, especially. I mean, money is so emotional for the consumer, and so if advisors can just integrate more of that, it's just another tool to have in the pocket, to bring that level of intelligence and support to the relationships. I find that it makes a big difference, not just from an engagement perspective, but also from a progress and an optimization perspective, because we're really integrating the whole experience and getting to know our clients on a much deeper level.
Got it. And I think I'd love to dive into that a little bit, because I know you talk about this, right? Money doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's not separate from your life, and everyone's brain is wired differently. So you need to consider that when you talk to people as well. How has that played out in your kind of experience so far? Advising?
Yeah, I find that it's taken me a minute to dial in my messaging, but now that I think I have, what I'm realizing is that I'm attracting a broader market. I'm able to reach people who maybe wouldn't normally feel like financial advice is for them, because it's an intimidating space. Advisors can be intimidating. Well, again, we're not necessarily, industry isn't known for its warmth and compassion. No offense, right? But who would argue with me? And so I think by leading with that kind of safe space, which again kind of is the foundation of a trauma-informed care setting, it's creating a sense of psychological and emotional safety. People are responding to that. And like I said, a more diverse range of the market is responding to that. And I think I'm seeing it show up in the clients as relief, as openness, as authenticity. And again, I think it's fast tracking our way to trust and really building just more meaningful relationships. My clients know that, maybe we have a big progress review meeting on the books, but they're going through something incredibly emotional and their money is involved with it for whatever reason. They know that if they need to spend more time talking about the burden of the emotional stress and the impact that's having on their money, they know that they can, because they also know that I'm worrying about all the other stuff for them. It's not like we're neglecting the tactical and the strategy side, but they seem to show up with a relief that I'm thinking about it for them. I'm taking care of it for them, but they also know that I'm going to deliver the information to them in a way that doesn't make them feel stupid and that, again, is accessible and empowering at the end of the day. So I think it's showing up in, attracting a wider audience, but then also it's impacting their motivation and desire to make progress on their finances, which, as I'm sure most of the listeners know, that can be a real challenge to get people to take action sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's great that it's playing out like that. And I think people need to be comfortable about these conversations because it will really help them, right, at the end of the day. So there's no point shying away from it. And I love what you said there because I think a lot of folks do look at their advisor as a therapist almost in some ways, right? But what is it about money that makes people so anxious? Is it the perceived is it the perceived lack of it, or the lack of awareness on how to manage it as you grow older, or something else, or a mix of all of that?
$1 million question. I think it's so personal. I think money anxiety is so personal. I think, again, I spent many, many years studying systems of oppression and working in marginalized and oppressed systems and communities. So I bring a different critical lens, I think, to kind of the system of money. And I think some of that anxiety just comes from the societal fabric that we live in, that it's a consumerist driven society. It's material forward. We live in a time where social media we're comparing ourselves to this, that, and the other all the time. And so I think the way our consumerist landscape operates can just, it has a bent toward that feeling of like, you need more, you have a problem, you can fix it with this, that, and the other. And so there's this, I think, underlying message in our culture that we just always need more. We'll never have enough. And so and then there's also the real, for some people, they do come from places where they didn't have enough, and the lack and the scarcity was real. So then that is another layer. And so because oftentimes things will come from familial relations to money, ancestral lineages. I always ask my clients, like, what was your parents' relationship to money? Because so oftentimes that's trickling down into our relationship with it. So as far as what gives people anxiety about money, I mean, what doesn't? But I think, like I said, I think it's not just this inherent burden that we're carrying. I think we're also receiving pressure from our society and our just the media landscape and what it's become, I think also contributes to it.
Right. So in short, a variety of things, but also it's interesting, right? I think you can go down the quantitative analysis part, providing advice, but what you're also focusing on the qualitative aspects of what makes that individual look at money or certain things in life differently from others, and it kind of goes back to how you approach this whole space. Very interesting, Allie. And maybe switching lanes a little bit. I know when you got into finance, you joined a big firm first, New York Life Insurance.
Yes.
And you spent some time with them, and then you decided to kind of branch out, go independent. How was that move from a large firm to setting up your own shop? What were some of the good and the hard parts?
Yeah.
A lot of people are evaluating this decision themselves
yes.
as well, right, in their lives.
I say, do it. Just go for it. It's not as bad as they make it seem. I had a stopover in between New York life and going independent. I worked at a small boutique firm in Denver for a year. But it was an interesting transition. I mean, I spent 18 months with New York life, and it was a lot. Especially, again, coming from a very counterculture, self-employed, my whole life background, kind of a deal. I think initially, though, when I realized I wanted to leave the insurance container of the industry, it was overwhelming because I was so new in the industry that I felt like I didn't have much leverage to stand on to go somewhere else. So and yet, I'm a really big fan of enabling constraints and looking at, obstacles or constraints in our lives, but how they can actually enable greater levels of innovation and creativity when we have to work within a really set amount, like within a confine. And so not having a ton of options when I was leaving New York life prompted me to really reach into my network and my community and start talking to people about, hey, this is what I want. I knew I wanted to focus more on the comprehensive side of planning, the true holistic, CFP kind of planning. Like, let's look at all of the pictures. I liked the relationship aspect of it and like working with clients. And I wanted to learn more investment management techniques. So I knew what I wanted. I also wanted to work in the flat fee space. So I knew what I wanted, but like I said, I didn't know how to get there or what leverage I had. But so it prompted me to reach into my network and community and be like, what are my options right now? Most advisors, when they get to this point, are 5 or 10 years into their career. They have a book of business. They have some, money saved. And so, I didn't, but what that led me to was actually looking for a job as a paraplanner. And I found a job with a firm in Denver where I'm based that was a part of a hybrid broker-dealer RIA, small but national. And so they were like the top 1 or 2 producers in the broker-dealer. And so they hired me to be a paraplanner for the firm while also starting to build my own book of business and succession plan, blah, blah, blah. So I stayed with them for a year, just kind of, expanding my knowledge of financial planning and investment management, starting to build my book up again from scratch. And we parted ways after a year together. I realized it wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't the right environment. So I had an exit plan that I was going to execute maybe like 9 months down the road, but they accelerated it unexpectedly.
What life throws at you when you least expect it, right?
Yeah, no, the timing was terrible. I was like a month away from taking my 7. So it was just a lot going on. And I just I didn't feel like I had enough clients. I felt like I didn't have enough money in the bank. Like it was I felt like I was literally just standing up on my own 2 feet again after the wildfire that was COVID and what it did to my life. So it was a really tough time. But again, I was then faced like, okay, what do I do? Do I try and find another job at a firm, but finding the right fit because I'm kind of a weirdo? It was daunting. Or do I just try and make it on my own? And again, I've worked really hard to cultivate mentors in this industry who are active advisors themselves. And every single one of them encouraged me to give myself a chance. And, I was able to take like the 2 clients I had with me and they all were encouraging me to just go for it. And my MO is always like, okay, we're going to do this. And if it doesn't work out, we can always change. We can always change directions. We can always do something else. Like we're never stuck in what we choose. So I decided to go for it. And so I ended up staying under that broker dealer where the firm that let me go, that I just, was also a registered rep with them. So I just opened up my own practice under that BD. But knowing that it wasn't going to be my forever home, just because, again, fit-wise alignment really matters to me. So about 6 months after I got let go, one of my mentors really encouraged me to go to the Altruist conference that year in the fall, even though I wasn't an RIA yet. And that conference changed everything for me, because I started talking to all these other independent advisors, and they're like, why are you not independent fully yet? And once I started telling them, my journey, my story, and all of that, they were all like, honestly, the only thing you've already done all the hard parts of going independent. You just have to file the paperwork, which I guess I didn't realize. In setting up my business, I had already, done a lot of the hard parts of the lift of going independent. So I guess that was just a blessing and, advantage of having entrepreneurial experience before being an advisor. So once I started running the numbers and looking at how close I actually was to going all the way independent, there was no turning back. And so then I think it was maybe about a 3.5 month process from the time I decided to go independent to the time I got approved. And then no looking back, and nothing really changed. Honestly, like I said, my practice was already set up so independently, that clients had no different experience. Nothing really changed other than, I wasn't giving away a really big cut of my revenue, and
which helps.
Which helps. And I had a lot more marketing freedom, which, coming from a creative background, was really important to me, to have full creative freedom in how I kind of go about marketing my brand. So no regrets, no looking back. And I'll say it again, but it's hard. It's hard work, and every state is a little different, but, and I'm state registered, but it's not as scary as they make it seem. I don't know. I just feel like I got a lot of fear mongering from other people in the industry, before going on my own, just trying to make me, question myself. So just watch out for that out there,
Very cool. And look at you today, all liberated, right?
Yes, exactly.
Just plugging that in there. Fantastic. No, I think that's great. It's positive. Obviously, something like this can't be easy, but at the same time, there's a lot of good things that kind of come out.
It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's not for everyone, not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of work, but I'm an entrepreneur through and through. So I love the challenge of building a business. And in the times that it gets really stressful, I still come back to a place of, I would rather have this stress than the uncertainty and stress of not working for myself. I like that it starts and ends with me. That ultimately provides comfort, even in the times that it's stressful and uncertain.
So, also you've got independent, you heard that story, and obviously clearly in terms of the proposition and what you bring to the table, there's a differentiation, right? But in terms of setting up your shop, how have you used technology? Has it been an enabler? What are your thoughts on kind of technology and ecosystem, and how you've got it on?
Yeah, I'm all in on tech. I think it's a huge optimizer. So I brought on a fractional paraplanner just a few months ago, but I'm still largely a solo owner operator. And so I am, I went independent. I filed only about 18 months ago. So I've been in practice by myself for about 2.5 years, but only independently registered about 18 months. So I'm still really new, and I am, starting to bump up against the edges of my capacity. So technology is everything in terms of streamlining my operations, my systems. I'm very operationally minded. And so I like having workflows. I'm an efficiency monger. And so I think technology can be such a great tool to help tighten up gaps that no one needs to be doing. It's not even I'm taking work away from a paraplanner or an assistant. It's no. Just no one needs to be clicking these buttons and doing these tasks. So, I'm using it. I continue to use it to streamline my internal processes, but I've also been really leaning into it for the client experience. I worked with a software tech developer to create a custom client portal. And so in that, I'm able to, create action items that come out of our meetings of kind of their homework for the next 6 months. It's where I send them requests for documents or statements if I'm preparing a meeting and I need something from them. So I'm continuing to build out the portal and make it a one-stop shop. Again, behaviorally, there is so much friction around money and getting stuff done for clients. So I'm really trying to leverage technology to reduce friction in terms of like, what do we need to do? What are the steps? What are the instructions? And just making progress as easy as possible for my clients. So the next, looking at 2026, continuing to focus on technology and streamlining my systems with technology is like my primary focus and investment for the business, just because I think it's going to make a big difference for me and for the clients.
That's very interesting. I think I've seen, this is a trend. I think especially folks who are going independent more recently, or like yourself, they really are leaning on technology, as you should. Because it's there, it's out there, it can help you. It can save a lot of time and effort that would have gone into setting something up, say 10 years back. So it's great to hear.
It's also a differentiator, right? Because and my clients, so I serve primarily a 35 to 55 market. So they're younger. And so having a more modern tech streamed firm is also appealing to that demographic. And frankly, they expect it, the consumer landscape expects ease and tech availability. So, and same with Altruist. Altruist is a very modern, digital, streamlined platform. So it's also, another differentiator and value add to the demographic that I'm serving.
Got it. And I didn't hear you mention AI, but I'm sure AI is part of that.
Oh yeah. It's hard to know where the line of AI stops and starts at this point, But yeah, I have, my portal is built with a lot of different Zapier and a couple different softwares that are leveraging automations. I use, and then there's ChatGPT, just kind of like my marketing editor. I work on, it helps me kind of refine my content that I'm creating. And setting up the portal, we have automated reminders and check-ins and things that can, just create some of these supportive elements without a ton of manual effort.
Right. Yeah, the possibilities are immense with where AI is today, which is great. Coming back to what's in store for 2026, you said technology is a big piece there, but I know you rebranded a few months back the Brain Financial. What is in store in 2026 from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I am just about to come into this space where I spend some time doing this planning for the new year. But right now the focus seems to be operations, just tightening things up. Like I said, I hired a fractional paraplanner a few months ago. So continuing to onboard her and maybe increase her hours gradually over the year. I think I'm just continuing to find what are the tasks that I can offload off of my plate so that I can keep doing higher level work. I can keep bringing more people in. So operations, it'll be streamlining operations with technology. It'll be documenting operations and just kind of, getting SOPs formalized, kind of laying the groundwork to continue to scale. And so what that means for me is continuing to increase my capacity to serve clients, but also, creating a landscape where I'm able to start bringing in advisors to the firm. I would like to I don't want to build a huge firm, just like a boutique firm, maybe a handful of advisors. But I would like to get the operations, streamlined and documented more before I start bringing in other advisors, just so that there's not quite as many moving parts when I start bringing in other people. And just from a time and an efficiency standpoint, I'm able to, I have documents and videos that I can share with people to support training instead of having to do it all one-on-one. So yeah, it's all about, it's going to be operations, and technology will be a big piece of the operations, and all of that is just in service of continuing to scale.
Got it. Amazing, and all the best to you. I'm sure everything will turn out very well. But that's a lot of shop talk. Always like to end with something a bit personal. And I know work, we all get so involved in work that we forget sometimes that we have a life outside it. But what keeps you happy outside work, or what keeps you sane? Do you have like a hobby or something that excites you?
Yeah, tons of stuff. It's continuing to stay connected with my creativity and my artistic life. I need it for my well-being. So making music on a daily level, whether it's singing, playing the piano, the ukulele, drums, doesn't matter, but making music keeps me regulated. And I've built a community. It's a local community in Denver, but it's called the Creative Experiment. So I've been building this community for the last year. And it's like growing really quickly and taking off. And it's a huge joy and bright spot in my life. We're celebrating our first birthday in January. So it's a fun outlet for me to give back to the creative community, but also create a space that I would have liked when I was still like a working artist, to just connect with other creatives. So I've been getting a lot of joy out of building that community and seeing it also kind of come to life on its own.
Amazing. So lots of projects taking shape. So
yeah,
very cool. Very cool, Allie. Thank you so much for taking some time today. Really enjoyed the conversation, learned a lot, and all the very best for 2026 and beyond.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.